So, seeing how Airbnb has revolutionized how people travel and in real estate, wow, that took you guys like 2 seconds to figure out I am not in my office studio. Yes, I am enjoying Valentine's Day weekend with my incredible wife here in South Beach, Miami Beach, Florida. And I tell you, if you get a chance to run around the Florida coast and really check it out and appreciate how things are, South Beach is a go to that you'll want to absolutely take advantage of. From everything from seeing the proximity of the sports stadiums to being able to see Miami downtown at its best. But South Beach is a totally different genre. This is a multicultural mecca of the foods and the musics and the flavors and the coffees and the alcohols and the people. It's a generally high end experience for all of those who like to travel inside of the Florida area. But I digress away from class. So, yes, thank you for appreciating and recognizing very quickly that I'm recording from somewhere else today. Hopefully, the quality of the recording is as good as you're used to. But let me get this back started for you. Um, Starting an Airbnb business might have crossed your mind a couple of times, but how do you even get started? And if you're going to invest in real estate, how do you invest with the expectation that you're going to start an Airbnb business? I'm going to break it down to some essential steps for you, as long as the laws are still cooperative with us as investors to be able to do this. I want to help you with not only the steps, but some of the financial planning that you need to be aware of, daily operations that you need to be able to follow, and help you navigate your new Airbnb entrepreneurship. So, first and foremost, understand the difference between Airbnb and traditional investment property. They're going to serve very different markets. They have unique expectations in both, and they have very different management styles. Owning an Airbnb typically means a short term rental. You're offering fully furnished accommodations for vacationers or part time travelers. These often yield a higher monthly rental income than a traditional rental, but this comes also with a greater host involvement, frequent cleaning, frequent maintenance, and guest communications. You are a hotel owner and operator at this point in the Airbnb world. On the other hand, traditional investment properties, also known as long-term residential rental, usually provides a very steady monthly income, longer tenant leases, and the expectation of just general management, flexibility, and just dealing with tenant turnover when leases are expiring. I do have a very simple table comparing the two types of investments. If you're interested in that, just hit me in our links. And always like and subscribe so that we can keep these channels going and keep all of my investors and my real estate agents and our potential clients for buying and selling and investing in real estate as an intellectual library for all of you. When you're starting Airbnb, you need to be able to consider several critical factors. You need to assess the market demand first and foremost. The competition in the desired area is going to ensure that you have a profitable venture on your hands. Understand the commitment that's involved as well. You need time, you need resources, you need daily operation capability, you need to be able to communicate with your guests, and more often, you need to be able to do instant property maintenance. Consider the financial implications of that, such as your initial investment, ongoing costs, potential for fluctuating income based on the seasonality of your market. In Florida, it's all going to be about location, 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 and what you can be in proximity of, which we'll talk about here soon. Also, reflect on your personal goals and what your expectation is for your property, your own lifestyle. As owning an Airbnb, it's going to require quite a bit of hands-on approach, and it's going to be significantly different than the traditional investment properties that we talk about and expose the goods and the bads here on the show. But great form of passive income. Next, you're going to need to learn that there is a very specific legal framework and a compliancy for you to be able to operate as an Airbnb. Very diverse, often regulation inhibited government short-term rentals. Investors need to understand that the legal landscape before setting up an Airbnb, it's subject to local laws. It's subject to short-term rental regulations, tourism taxes, and sometimes even stricter zoning laws. The reason for this is because of several concerns, and these concerns are usually brought up, and Dan and I were talking before the show, by the homeowners in the area that live predominantly as their primary residence. So, first off, community impact. A short term rental can significantly affect the local community. Issues just arise: noise, safety, housing, availability. This is particularly evident in areas where rental properties are converted into short terms. I mean, let's understand reducing long term rental supplies. Regulations are often designed to mitigate that type of impact, meaning makes it kind of difficult to own an Airbnb with these excessive regulations on top of you. Tourism control is another one. A lot of cities rely on tourism and they've got to balance it with a local quality of life. So, regulations are going to aim to control the number of tourists in certain areas and they're going to maintain the character of certain communities and neighborhoods. This ensures that their tourism growth is sustainable and beneficial to the local economy. Ultimately, the city is going to want to drive business towards the high traffic areas, the hotels, the motels, the notels, and make sure that that's where the people are staying so that they can kind of police and maintain it easier as well. Fair competition. Traditionally, lodging businesses like hotels, they're subject to regulations and taxes. Airbnb operates in this same market, so local laws are going to aim to level that playing field. They're going to ensure that the short term rental meets similar standard and tax obligations by any county or taxable district. Then, of course, you've got safety and standards. Regulations are going to enforce all standards for guests, and believe me, the local PD is going to know if you have an Airbnb that's operating above noise levels in a hard party zone, if you're consistently getting complaints from neighbors, fire safety, health standards, building codes, and regulations, anything they can throw at you that's going to inhibit this being an accommodation for you, they're going to do it. It's not frowned upon. That's not necessarily the term that I'm looking for, but as it has an effect, the coming and going of tenants rapidly, oh, maybe even every week, you've got somebody new in there, has an effect, has a ripple effect in the local community. And all you need is old man Jake living next door calling the cops every time you got a new tenant, and that's going to start getting you some low stars on the Airbnb platform. And then pretty soon tenants won't rent from you simply because old man Jake. By the way, regular real estate owners, old man Jake is not your friend. Old man Jake will make it difficult for you to be able to sell your property when it's time to sell it too. He's going to be in your business. He's going to be trying to talk to people before they are making an offer on your home, and they're going to try to inhibit the sale and you making a good profit, especially if you and old man Jake were not compadres. Let's talk about revenue collection for a minute. Tourism taxes, hotel occupancy taxes are very similar in the Airbnb market. So there's a significant revenue source for lots of local governments, and they're going to take advantage of that. Applying these taxes to an Airbnb rental will ensure that the city that you're in benefits financially from the additional tourism that's facilitated by the Airbnb platform. And I keep calling it a platform because I realize there's others out there, and I'm using Airbnb as an example. There is Vrbo. There are some short-term rentals that you can do straight off of Google. You can try to manage this yourself. But I'm here to tell you, I have personal experience with Keystone and have personal experience throughout the state of Florida on managing Airbnbs, setting up Airbnbs, purchasing Airbnb properties with buyers and keeping it as an Airbnb for an amount of time, setting it up inside of that platform and that system. And believe me, Airbnb's got it figured out. Yes, do they get their cut? Sure. Make sure that you're smart with your finances. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and then you'll understand, how you can manage it appropriately. And then, of course, let's not go too far without talking about zoning laws. Residential zones are typically intended for long-term housing. Remember that. Some cities are going to enforce very strict zoning laws and they're going to limit this as a short term rental. The fact that they're renting for less than 7 months means that it's a short term and you got to follow those guidelines. Pro tip though, understanding how to properly start up an Airbnb business is going to encourage you guys to do the due diligence that's necessary. And you can do this by simply researching the zoning laws, the licensing requirements, specific restrictions on short term rentals in your area that you want to have. And additionally, if the property falls under a jurisdiction of an HOA, for example, please make sure that you review and adhere to those and its bylaws. Don't make this complicated for yourself. If you're going to go and purchase a property, make sure that it is easy for you to operate as an Airbnb owner in that area. I realize it's not a forever plan. You're not going to be the Airbnb in that community forever. But for now, you want to make sure that that has the most flexibility for you. Some of those HOAs are going to have some restrictions and outright bans on short-term rentals. So you better know that before you buy it. Ensuring that you've got compliance with those various legalities is certainly going to avoid penalties, which will eat up into your profits. It's going to allow you to invest your money in a legally sound, sustainable venture that's more likely to yield long-term benefits and maintain good standing in the community. Last thing you want to be is that guy at the HOA meetings that everybody wants to talk about, and you may not even know it's a problem. Next, financing. Planning the finances for your Airbnb business. This goes beyond the initial property purchase. It requires very thoughtful financial management. Before you dive in, you need to account for every single cost. That's the key to running a profitable rental property. Some things that you probably need to consider is budgeting early. Investors should create a detailed budget and a business plan as a worst case scenario. You got to factor in startup costs, renovations, furnishings, ongoing expenses like utilities, maintenance, cleaning, replacements of furniture as the wear and tear is going to be way above the traditional standard as you're dealing with brand new tenants with very different expectations, very different body language, very different experiences on how they treat other people's things. So be aware. Prepare for surprise expenses in your budget. In addition to accounting to the normal Airbnb service fee that's going to be captured, you also need to set aside funds for some of that unexpected repair. Develop a dynamic pricing strategy, if you would. That way you can reflect dynamic fluctuations like local events and slow booking periods. And then, of course, you need to understand the taxes behind this whole business. Income, property, and occupancy taxes are the necessity and probably the minimum for you running this business. So effective financial planning is going to enable you to host pricing the listing competitively so you can cover all the costs and ensure the profitable and sustainable business model. I'm telling you, the Airbnb platform does a really good job of keeping you smart about how you're running your business. They make money from you making money. So they're going to help you price appropriately. Consider, if you would, even keeping a separate financial account for business and personal transactions. I personally believe that this is going to be your best way for managing it. It'll help you keep meticulous records for tax purposes, and consider even a professional accountant to be able to watch over these things, because as an investor, you've got different benefits than a traditional owner and resident. There are some other platforms out there that can help you with this. Obviously, I'm a big software guy. For those of you that don't know, I come from the tech industry before I got into real estate. So I will always try to find a technical solution to help you solve the problem. Platforms like AirDNA can help you learn how to start the Airbnb business itself. It'll help you understand the property and help you build that comprehensive market data and analysis before you buy. It's going to offer you some insight into revenue potentials, occupancy, rates that are happening in the area, fluctuations in market that happens, competitive pricing strategies in specific locales. It'll help you analyze the trends and seasonally too. It's even going to help you understand event driven demand. If you're next to the baseball field, if you're next to a football event, if you're anywhere near the Super Bowl, it's important for you to be able to optimize your pricing so you can maximize occupancy and revenue. And because these events are calendared a year in advance, you need a system that understands how your pricing for that demand needs to increase a year in advance too. Because if they book you too early, if they book you 6, 7, 9 months before the event, and you're not aware of it, and you're not a baseball fan, and the World Series is going to happen in your town, guess what? You missed a huge revenue opportunity. And of course, everybody's going to book yours because you didn't know the pricing needed to change, and you're the cheapest house in the entire city. Next, structuring your business and the financial management behind it. For many of you, forming an LLC or a real estate holding company is going to be preferred for this. It's going to help you have a distinct separation between your personal and your business asset, but the potential tax benefits as well. But most importantly, it's going to protect you and your business while enhancing its professionalism and protect you for a certain percentage of your liability. Not every Airbnb is listed under an LLC. Other business structures do exist, but some Airbnb hosts, they even operate as sole proprietorships, which is the simplest approach, but it lacks liability protection, and you have to be very careful about that. Those planning to scale their business might consider even an S Corp if you're going to have multiple properties, and it'll give you less employment taxes, though it does come with a more complex IRS requirement. If you want to be small scale hosting management company or just the property to be part of your home, an additional complexity and cost of forming an LLC might not even be justified, but personal homeowners insurance and additional short-term rental coverage is a must, because your normal homeowners insurance is not going to cover temporary rental protections. And believe me, when you're dealing with insurance companies, anything that they can do to recapture what it would be for them as cost, they'll certainly do it. So they'll take advantage of either your dishonesty or your forgetfulness in letting them know what the property is being used for. Also, some investors might even find that their current mortgage or their property management agreements have stipulations or complexities that will make transferring it to an LLC disadvantageous or even impractical. For those just testing the waters and just getting into this, of trying it out one time or with a property that you already own, structuring it without an LLC might be just the most straightforward way for you to start while you figure it out. Lots of pros and cons of both. If you'd like more detail on that, I'm happy to provide it to you. Just hit me up in the links below. Next, selecting an ideal property for Airbnb investment. Owning an Airbnb is going to be fun in its own, but having the right location is going to be pivotal for you to establish a successful business. The right choice can lead to very high occupancy rates and positive reviews and increased revenue, while a poor choice is going to result in absolutely the opposite. And those bad reviews will tank your business, just like bad reviews or a bad Yelp against a restaurant. First step is understanding your local market and the demand that you have in your market for the Airbnb opportunity. Research popular destinations. Pull up the Airbnb app yourself and see how many popular destinations are nearby. Airbnb's kind of doing the homework for you. All you have to do is get in there and try to see, if you were going to rent an Airbnb in this area, how many are available to you? What is the competition like? Do they all have pools? Do they all have tennis courts? Do they all have basketball courts? Do they have access to the beach? Do they have access to large sports facilities? Understanding all of these things is what's going to draw visitors to you. You want to be able to take a look of the competition nearby and understand what kind of properties are available and the occupancy and the cost strategies that they're using. Properties in central accessible areas, for example, nearby major tourist attractions, they're typically going to command a higher price. They're going to enjoy higher occupancy rates. However, these properties are also going to have higher purchase prices and more strenuous regulations. No different than what we have on our beachfront properties or walking distance from the beach. But if they're marketed correctly, that unique and that secluded property that you may have will attract a very niche market. Accessibility is going to be the key when it comes to those. Properties need to have ideal or nearby public transport, airports, convenient parking options, and safety. When clients are staying at the residence, they need to feel safe and secure, and they're not going to feel like their car's going to get stolen while it's parked out front. This is why the location of that Airbnb is critical to the business operations, why it matters. The property location is almost just as critical as being able to start the business on its own. Then you need to consider the type of guest that you plan to attract to ensure that the property is going to meet their needs. For example, families are going to be looking for multiple bedrooms and a kitchen, and business travelers might prioritize a dedicated workspace and high-speed internet as a facility for them. Property's condition and potential for customization should also be considered. As the market changes, being able to invest in high-end and quality furniture will significantly enhance the appeal of your listing. Airbnb sets up a what does this place offer section inside of the app. So if you've got a water view, a kitchen, extra driveway parking, washer and dryer on site, maximum air conditioning, private beach access, Wi-Fi, TVs, free dryer, a private patio and balcony. All of those types of amenities are going to go a long way to making your property attractive. And be careful, catfishers out there. Good set of photography can wreck you if they show up and this property looks nothing like the photography. They will call you when they get to the property, they will report you to Airbnb, and you'll lose access to the platform altogether. You need to ensure that the Airbnb is going to be in a location that's accessible to you as well as a co-host. Being nearby, having reliable co-hosts that can help you with that is crucial for affecting the manageable day-to-day. Proximity is going to allow for quick response to guest issues. Regular maintenance needs to be maintained, and easier management for check-ins and check-outs needs to happen. If you or a nearby co-host, if you're using one, can be readily available, it'll ensure a higher level of service and satisfaction for your guests. And here's where I have an opportunity for my real estate agents out there. You can help with this. Real estate agents work with an insane amount of vendors throughout the year. They have built what I call a concierge list, an easy set of people that they trust, they know, and that are easily accessible to be able to help during times of difficulty. If they're also available for an Airbnb, find a local real estate agent that's available to be a co-host for you, because it's easy for them to be able to market in the area too. If your Airbnb guest plans to come back to your, let's say, Florida more often, maybe dropping a business card as the local real estate agent is a nice way for them to gain some additional revenue and work with you in the long run. Marketing. There is nothing inside of real estate investing that doesn't have some type of marketing tag. It's similar to marketing a rental property. A well-crafted Airbnb listing can make all the difference between frequency of bookings and the vacancy rate on the listing. Investors need to update that listing to reflect that latest amenities, improvements, and guest feedback. If you are an out-of-state owner and you are utilizing a local real estate agent or a local property management company, make sure they specialize in Airbnbs and understand the importance of representing your property, because not being available and not knowing everything that's needed to know that they need to know in the area can be detrimental to how well your business is ranked in the local market. So a few strategies to doing that. We do a lot of marketing here at Keystone, so it's great for us to be able to pass some of that knowledge forward to you. First off, creating an appealing listing starts with high quality photos, always. Showcases your property's cleanliness, style, unique features. We do another class on real estate photography tips. You want to try to find that in our YouTube channel. But some pointers on taking the best pictures of your listing are in there as well. Don't overlook the listing title. Ensure it's grabs their attention, highlights the Airbnb's best features. Next, the platform will help you a lot with this, but setting the right price, researching the local rates for similar properties with similar amenities when you're setting your pricing, knowing your competition. Consider the Airbnb platform fees in what your nightly cost is going to be. The cleaning fees, the taxes, and all these things can affect your net earnings. So make sure you're running a high-end service with a low-end cost initiative so that you can maximize your margins, the money that you're going to make and profit at the end of each of the stays. And you need to track it as a stay margin, per stay, per event, per accessed margin. Then you can allocate over the year where maybe it's not worth it to you to have your Airbnb open during certain months of the year because you're trying too hard and the rates are too low and you're not exactly capturing profit. It may be easier for you to leave the property vacant during that time. It's your business model, so you'll be able to figure that out. Certainly, SEO will enhance the visibility too. You need to consider what potential guests might search for, like cozy cabin not near hiking trails or downtown luxury condo in a high rise. Use the real estate words. Getting on Zillow and tracking down properties like this, realtors are very good at doing sales language inside of their selling paragraphs. So make sure that you can use and abuse those where applicable. Make things natural but appealing when you're describing the property. Utilizing social media, all of the platforms that we use here as well, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok. This will allow for showcasing the property, accompany your Airbnb photos with some of those attention-grabbing descriptions, relevant real estate hashtags. That way it'll reach a broader audience because when people are searching, that's how they're going to find you. Encourage the guest reviews. During their stay and after their stay, you should be petitioning them to personalize a thank you message, expressing the appreciation for their visit, and asking them to share their experience because these are how other people find your property. They'll understand that's how they found you. So some hosts even automate a very friendly note to guests to encourage them to leave the review. Make the link a one-stop shop. They click the link once, they can leave a fast review on Google Stars or one of those other systems, especially in Airbnb, and then it'll propagate directly from there. And then, of course, continuous improvement and adaptation. Stay informed about the local market trends and the new market techniques. Virtual tours, influencer marketing, and things that will keep your listing competitive are smart business tools. Study the shifts in your traveler preferences. Increased interest in sustainable travel and work-friendly spaces are all the rage. When people are deciding to run out there and just work remotely everywhere on the planet, it's going to be nice for them to have a place that feels like home, that makes them comfortable while they're in your property as a workspace. And then managing the operations of the Airbnb. This is a whole separate section here. Effective operational management is going to help you maintain that high standard, the guest satisfaction that's there. They're going to be able to feel if you know what you're doing and you're running your property as a business. The smooth operation behind the Airbnb platform will help you a lot. It has advanced tools, and the platform will automate a lot of the aspects of running that short-term rental for you. Everything from scheduling the cleanings, managing the bookings, communicating with the guests can all be done right outside of the app. A few notable tech platforms out there that I said I would mention that'll help you improve your Airbnb operations. There's a thing out there called Airbnb Tools. You visit that on the Airbnb site itself, go into the Airbnb app, and you'll be able to find that as a property owner. If you're just out there hustling through and booking Airbnbs for yourself, you're not going to have access to those. But it'll give you the automated messaging, pricing suggestions, and the booking management tools, all as a part of their platform. Um, Smart locks are a big component of technology too. It will allow secure keyless entries. You don't have to worry about keys themselves. And remote monitoring is also possible of the locks. Um, Finding a good like August smart lock on Amazon is a great way to do that, and it's easily managed again through the Airbnb app and separately inside of its own app. Um, Guestly is another program. It manages the listings across multiple platforms for you, so not just limited to Airbnb. The Guestly service will mark you everywhere, so it doesn't matter who they're booking you through. First person that books you at the best rate is what's going to make a difference. Handy is a good one too. It schedules cleanings for you between the guests, so it ensures the consistency and the quality. You want to make sure that Handy has a good pool of service and cleaning agents in your area before you utilize them. If they only have one or two people, it's not necessarily going to give you the accessibility that you're looking for. There's a dynamic pricing tool system out there called Beyond Pricing. It'll help you adjust your listing prices in real time so you can get a kind of a second opinion of what you should be priced at besides just the Airbnb platform. And it's based on market data and demand analytics that it's gathered over the years. And then TouchStay is the other one that I would recommend. This is a digital guest experience for enhancements. It's going to give you a digital guest book for them to sign in and out of, and it offers additional services during their stay, like what's going on in the area. Hey, there's an event going on here. Hey, there's a live band that's going on here. If they're looking for bonfire on the beach, it'll have all of that kind of stuff for them, and it'll kind of keep them interested in getting in and out of the house. Take this time to address some of a lot of questions today, but let's break a few of these out for me. How much can I realistically earn from an Airbnb business? That's a tough one. Earning will absolutely vary, and it's gonna almost vary based on you rather than the property. If you're not good at this, it's going to show. It's going to show in your profits. But if you do a good job and you stay diligent, location, property type, management efficiency, and marketing demand, and your style of communication with the short-time tenant, tools like that AirDNA that I spoke about earlier, that's going to help you provide that local occupancy and average rates so that you can estimate some potential earnings if you decide to go that way. However, as an investor, you need to account for all of those expenses. Don't forget about your maintenance, your utilities, your taxes, your Airbnb service fees. What's the most significant risk in running an Airbnb, and how do I mitigate it? Yeah, this is a good one. Property damage, periods of vacancy, changing regulations in your area. Again, if a bunch of HOA members get together and they just do not like the way that your quick in and out tenants are acting in their community, they're going to make it difficult for you. You need to make sure that you've got comprehensive insurances, establish strict guest screening processes, save for emergency fund, and make sure you're absolutely informed about the local laws and the market trends. That's going to be the best way to stay ahead of it. And like it or not, you're going to need to know the neighbors. If they're not favorable of what you're doing, they're going to make this very hard on you, and that's not what you want. Is it better to manage my Airbnb property myself or hire a property management service? Well, we do that here at Keystone, so obviously I'm going to lean very heavily into my investors, and our international investment pools appreciate the fact that we can handle all of the ins and outs for them. They're in it for just the bottom line. Now, that means that they pay us a service platform fee too, but it's honestly going to depend personally on your amount of time, expertise, the number of properties that you're talking about. Self-managing is going to allow you a lot more control and potentially give you higher profits, but it's incredibly time consuming. It requires a commitment to be a guest service, requires a commitment to marketing and maintenance. Where on the other hand, hiring a property manager or a property management company is going to ease that workload, but it comes at a price. What is the 90-day rule on Airbnb? Hold on just a second. I'm not familiar with that one, but I have access to my co-pilot agent who will certainly help me. Airbnb's 90-day rule restricts hosts from renting out properties for more than 90 days a year to avoid housing shortages and minimize neighborhood disruptions. Once this limit is reached, the property cannot be rented until the following calendar year. Oh, that's very interesting. I'm going to have to dig into that a little bit more, but it looks like that's it. 90 days out of the year is the most you can host an Airbnb for. I don't know that that's accurate in the state of Florida. I will do some more digging and I'll post an update here on the channel, especially for you that asked that question. So, to be clear, understanding the legal and the financial nuances of starting an Airbnb business are going to help you make informed decisions to protect your asset. Everything from selecting the ideal property and crafting an appealing listing to effectively manage that day-to-day operation is going to be critical. Each aspect is going to play a vital role in the success of your rentals. If you need some help with this, if you need further advice, please like us, subscribe, and make sure that you make comments below. We will absolutely get to these as they come up. We appreciate you very much. We hope all the best in your Airbnb experience. And if we can ever give you some additional advisement or help you manage the properties, we're certainly available for you here at Keystone. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day and enjoy good business. Recording has stopped.